Hey, what's up, witches? So I thought I would try to get back into making videos, and I'm going to allow myself to just not be a perfectionist about my videos and to just put out the content that I think is the most helpful, whether it looks perfect or it doesn't. So here we are today. I'm in my yard and I'm with my dog. So if you hear traffic or birds or the dog, just kindly let that kind of go. I wanted to talk today about a question that I get asked a lot in my DMs, which is, okay, I think I'm a witch. And if you're not sure if you feel validated in whether you're a witch or not, or in your witchiness, I have another video called Signs That You're a Witch that you can go check out. But people come up to me and they're like, I think I'm a witch, but I don't know what to do about it, or what now, or how do I begin? The first step is honestly owning that you have this interest or this calling. And I want to differentiate between like an interest and a calling, because really they're kind of the same. If you're interested in something, that means that you're called to it. The little nagging voice inside that's telling you that you are drawn to something is saying that to you because the energy of the thing you're drawn to is calling you to it. So the very fact that you have an interest, or the very fact that you have a desire towards something, means that you're meant for it. You can't be interested in something that you're not meant for. And so I want you to eliminate like imposter syndrome, or those nagging self-doubt thoughts that you're not good enough, or a lot of witches get hung up on their ancestry or their lineage or their background and saying, you know, I was raised this way, so I don't know that I can be a witch. When you are worried about your background or how you were raised, a lot of that comes from external forces, or like what you're actually worried about is maybe judgment, or maybe disappointing, or not being accepted by your family or your friends or people in your life who might not be on board with the idea of you being a witch or practicing magic, or even just embracing a different kind of spirituality. But what I want to say is that if you are already interested in it, if you are already drawn to it, you've already taken steps on that path. So there's really no undoing it. There's really no like going back, and there's really no reason for you to have that self-doubt or to have that fear like, well, what if I start this? Because I want to say, like, you've already sort of started it, and so let's figure out how to make peace with the fact that you've started it and to move forward from that place, okay? And so the first thing I want you to do is to just like be okay with yourself. I want you to practice like radical self-love, radical self-acceptance. I want you to allow yourself to maybe enjoy your spiritual self-expression and to not feel bad about it. Now, depending on what upbringing you had, it might be hard for you in general to allow yourself to enjoy things that really wake up your soul or enrich you or enliven you in some way. And that's a place for you to do some self-work. I always say, and I'm obsessed with saying, that witchcraft and self-work go hand in hand. They belong together. And that's because the more that you advance on your path of witchiness or magic or any kind of energy work, the more you have to dig into yourself and determine like, well, what place am I coming from that's causing me to do this self-work? Or what is it within me that is triggered out right now that wants me to maybe retaliate or try to control the situation through magic or whatever that might be? Or what is it within me that prevents me from allowing myself to take this step and to own this truth and to claim the word witch, or whatever word you're comfortable with, and why do I struggle with that? So those are some places for you to maybe do some journaling, or to talk to yourself, or to figure out what is the trigger there and how can I work around it. A lot of times the trigger is a fear of judgment, or being taught a certain thing our whole lives, and so we have to break those barriers down. And fundamentally, what I want to say is that as long as you're living in alignment with who you truly are and your sense of integrity, and you're not seeking to harm others, then that's okay. Everything is okay. There's no reason for you to be cruel and unkind to yourself just because you turned out to have interests in things that are different than maybe what you were brought up with. We're all kind of doing that. We're all on our journey of figuring out who we are. Our parents' job is to get us safely to adulthood, and then our job is to progress from there and become whoever we're meant to be. So I want you to sort of start the process of allowing yourself to be who you are. The next question I get a lot is like, so, okay, I've accepted that I'm a witch. Also, side note, a lot of times people say to me like, well, why do you have to be using that word? Like, what is it? Can't you just say you're an energy worker or like a priestess or something else? And I want to say no. I mean, sure, I'm sure I could like dub myself with any kind of title or whatever, but the word witch is the right word, because a witch is somebody who is able to understand the spiritual energy around her and then utilize it at will. I mean, that's a really basic kind of understanding of it, but there's a reverence and a respect and a gratitude and a lot of beautiful energy that goes along with the word witch, okay? And I am seeking to dismantle the negative connotation around the word witch. I personally don't think that it's appropriate that people feel negatively about that word. I don't think it's appropriate that it's associated with Satan or evil or hell or negativity. And right on cue, these church bells near my house start playing. So if that's not a sign, I don't know what is. But to me, I'm using the word witch on purpose, and I'd like to empower you to do the same thing, because when someone has a certain definition of something, they try to put that on you, and you can reject that by still using the word, but showing up differently than their definition. So you can be this kind, beautiful, lovely light, spreading like positive energy and joy and abundance and just love everywhere you go, and you can say you're a witch, and then slowly but surely people start to change their idea of what witch means. And that's one of my personal goals, is that the word witch stops being something so like steeped in misogyny and misinformation and negativity, and it starts to be seen for what it really is, as someone who is in their empowerment, claiming their truth and being willing to use their spiritual energy for good and positivity and beautiful things, okay? So you're going to go ahead and you're going to claim the word witch, and then from there, I want you to just sort of start moving in the direction that your heart wants to move in. So what does that even mean? It means like, well, what are you drawn to? Are you into crystals? Are you into the moon? Are you into spell work? Are you into kind of just setting up altars and spaces within your home? Are you into plant magic? Are you into, you know, creating little like enchanted objects? Like, what is it that you're drawn to? Because that's how you find your gift. That's how you find your talent. That's how you find your magic. Following your interests and following your heart. You know, we're all given certain things within ourselves. We're all born with certain interests, skills, and talents. And those interests, skills, and talents lead us to our truth. They lead us to our divine life purpose. They lead us to who we're supposed to be if we follow them. And so once you've sort of said, okay, this is something I'm interested in and I'm going to follow it, the next step for you is simply to just say, all right, well, what part of this am I interested in? I think for me, it started with the moon. I've always been very drawn to the moon, so I started doing a lot of moon work and work with my personal deities that I affiliate with the moon, and from there it just took on a life of its own. The more you follow it, the more your path opens up. A lot of people maybe don't want to step on the path of witch work or spirituality because they're afraid they don't know where it leads to, and that's why I always say the path unfolds as you walk it. You can't know where you're going until you're willing to start taking steps on that path. So I want for you to just say, I own this title, I claim this word. You can say it just quietly in your heart. You don't have to tell anybody. And then you can say, where does it lead me? What's my next interest? What's my next thing that I'm into? Is it like tarot cards? Is it psychic readings? Is it, you know, runes, or like I said, the moon, spells, candle magic? Is it crystals? Is it just energy healing? What is it that I'm interested in? And how can I follow that interest? And then research. Follow people who you believe are knowledgeable in that field, but follow more than one. See, I never want anyone to just become like a disciple of one expert. Like, I don't want anyone to ever just immerse themselves solely in one thing. Now, if that's your thing and like you want to really kind of throw yourself into something more organized, that's cool. But in general, I think it's nice to cast a wide net and to find as much information as possible so that you can craft and cultivate what resonates with you. You can go out into the world and like gather bits and pieces and then start to utilize that information in your own practices, and you'll quickly find out what works for you and what doesn't. I mean, if you're to look up the metaphysical properties of like any kind of crystal, you'll find a whole bunch of different answers. That doesn't mean that they're all wrong. It means that different things can be used in different ways. So the question for you is, how am I going to use these things? How am I going to integrate them into my own practice, my own craft? And interestingly, a lot of baby witches message me and they say like, how do I start? And really what they're saying is, can I have permission to just practice? Like, can I have permission to figure this out for myself? Because the way that I say to start is to start. Like, there's only really one way to do it, and it's for you to start to practice. Set yourself up an altar. It doesn't have to be perfect. Get yourself some crystals and talk to them. It doesn't have to be perfect. Start to do rituals with the moon phases. It doesn't have to be perfect. I want you to just start. I want you to just do things that feel right to you. And the more you walk on your path, the more you're going to find out that you've actually always been doing witchy things and you just didn't realize they were witchy. Like, ever since I was little, if there was a storm coming, I would go outside and I would like stand in the grass with my shoes off and I would try to like gather the energy of the storm. Like, I would call it up from the ground and down from the sky. And I don't recommend this if this is a lightning storm. Please don't like endanger yourself. But what I'm saying is that just start. And the more that you go through things and the more that you really get into your practice, the more you'll go, oh my God, I've actually already been doing this for a really long time. And those moments are validating for you. But if you don't let yourself like dive in and simply begin, then you don't get to have that validation. I want you to eliminate the idea that it's wrong, that you can do anything wrong, that there's a right way to do it, that there's a wrong way to do it. And I want you to allow yourself to make progress and not try to be perfect. I want you to allow yourself to simply just begin and to follow where your heart leads. Research, watch videos like this, follow witchy accounts on all of your social media platforms. I don't know much about the TikTok witches, although I heard some crazy stuff with the whole moon thing, so I don't know what's going on with that. But I know that on Instagram, I know that here on YouTube, I know that even in Facebook, there are some really good witchy accounts that are actually giving out helpful information. Try to take some classes if you can. If you know spiritual practitioners that offer classes, try to sign up for some services or some goods that might support you in your practice, and just begin. Because it's not until you begin that you can know where your questions are and where your confusion lies and where your path maybe takes you in one direction and not another. So there's no right way to start. There's no right place to start. People often want book recommendations. There's lots of books out there, but if you're not really going to allow yourself to create a practice that's all your own, you can read as many books as you want and you're still just kind of at the beginning of that path, and you're still just kind of not allowing yourself to claim and own the title, and to claim and own the passion, and to claim and own your own ability to figure this stuff out. An eclectic witch is somebody who just gathers her information from multiple sources and integrates it into her practice in whatever way that she can. And so I want you to feel comfortable. I want you to know that as long as you're coming from a place of positive intentions, as long as you're not trying to do things that are like above your clearance level, as long as you're trying to just work on understanding yourself, bettering yourself, connecting to your own energy and creating a higher vibration around you, you can't go wrong. So I want you to just begin, and I want you to read articles and go on Pinterest and pin a bunch of witchy things. And as you do that, you'll notice sometimes they directly conflict with each other, and that's just a sign for you that there's no right or wrong way. It's all going to come from within you, and what's right or wrong within you, and what works for you and doesn't. And I want yourself to just get over the hurdle of feeling like you're not allowed, or you're an imposter, or you somehow don't know what you're doing, and to tackle that. Like, if you feel like you don't know what you're doing, that's an opportunity to research and to look into it. And if you have questions about how to do certain things, please feel free to leave them in comments. I just thought that it might be helpful to make this video for beginner witches to just empower you guys to know that you can begin, start where you're at, and there's no wrong way to do it. Okay, thank you for watching, and I hope to hear from you all. Blessed be.